Well, thank you so much, Allison. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to all my WFP friends and family. I don't want to say good evening because it truly isn't one. Uh, Justified anger and yet another rash of police killings has resulted in protests across the country. And the last few nights, we've seen a shocking police reaction. Mace, protesters violently thrown to the ground, military hardware deployed in our cities, police vans driven into crowds, rubber bullets shot at journalists and civilians. I've been part of organizing dozens of protests as part of the movement for Black Lives, and I've not seen escalations like this often, and they're happening everywhere. Police are stoking violence, and we've heard reports that some destructive white nationalists are participating in protests in order to escalate violent conflict. I've been struggling to find the right words to share with you tonight. What I'm left with today is the realization that there are no quote unquote right words, and there is no right reaction to something so deeply wrong. The wrong I'm talking about spans 4 centuries and has had genocidal impact. It's white supremacy and racial capitalism, the modus operandi of our global order, the wind beneath the wings of the American project. Last week, a Trump administration official referred to American workers as, and I quote, human capital stock. What was so jarring is the fact that we, our Black bodies, were the capital in capitalism. Our ancestors were the original human capital stock that financed America and transformed feudal European nations into global capitalist colonial empires. Indigenous genocide and the transatlantic slave trade are the founding atrocities that birthed the modern era. I watched the video of George Floyd's final moments, and it was horrific. Now, one thing that will stay with me is the cool, mechanical indifference of the police. The mechanical dismissal of Black life permeates our society. It is born from the commodification of Black bodies centuries ago. The ability to buy, sell, trade, and dispose of people like human capital stock doesn't end with emancipation. Ahmaud Arbery, a Black man jogging in Georgia, stalked and lynched in broad daylight. Nina Pop, a trans Black woman stabbed to death in Missouri. Breonna Taylor, a Black woman shot dead in her own home by police searching for someone else. Christian Cooper, a Black birder who had police called on him for respectfully asking a white woman to leash her dog. And tens of thousands of Black people who have died from COVID-19. Each one, people with complex lives, stories, families, failings, regrets, and desires. Though their stories and direct causes of death were different, what connects them is the ultimate perpetrator: white supremacy itself, perfected over generations, and racial capitalism in all of its forms. It is deadly. What else can we expect of an ideology that seeks to render people into things to be used and discarded? We know racial capitalism does not simply target and surveil Black folks. We all, although not equally, are subject to its indifference. It places targets on the backs of immigrants of every race. It visits the doors of poor and working people, including poor and working white folks, even the ones who vote for policies that protect white billionaires. Many times, that racial caste is a source of disunity rather than a point of solidarity. Forging unity through political struggle, through recognizing our different experiences is the hope and promise of the Working Families Party. Each of us will respond to this week's events in different ways, and there is no right way to respond. There are many ways we could show compassion, grace, patience, and kindness. The little sliver of hope in these dark times is each other. We do not have to sit idle while more of our family and community members become hashtags, and as our elected officials twiddle their thumbs and offer lukewarm condolences or outright indifference to our deaths. If you feel moved to action, there are protests in cities around the country, which you can attend if you feel like it's safe for you. You could donate to bail funds, and we're sharing a link to some bail funds in the chat right now. So click on that link and please donate. You could call your local elected officials and demand they stop and they somehow try to stop out of control police and punish violent policing. And given that the coronavirus will cause budget shortfalls in probably every city in America, you can demand cities cut police budgets instead of investments in education, health, and employment. These are immediate actions. The ultimate work is the long-term organizing and movement building we need to make a daily practice. Our commitment is to build the deep democracy and self-determination that will ensure our safety. We will be coordinating closely with leaders in the movement for Black lives as things develop, which brings me to my final point. The moral arc of the universe is long. The fight for a more just and equitable world spans centuries. The struggle for Black freedom spans generations. The work is our inheritance. You don't have to watch every video or any video. You don't have to follow each breaking headline. Take time away to connect with loved ones or do things that bring you joy. This too is a form of resistance, but we hope you'll join us in unity and struggle for justice as part of the WFP. Thank you.